Well, I was goofing with the hydraulics last night, thinking that I got a bunch of air in it because this bypass had jiggled all the way out of the trailer and it was leaking fluid out. So I closed that up, did the procedure where you open it just a little bit and like run the stick back and forth, well in bypass, try to get all the air out. And at one point, with it grinding away and making funny sounds, it locked up and stalled the engine. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the belt off and see if we can get that motor, well, that pump off. This stuff's nasty. It looks like the oil that came out of my car. And this just uses engine oil, but you can see like there's clearly going to be a lot of metallics in here and they're really fine shadings. Oopsie. So I don't want to do this too hard. I have the pump and freewheel. There. Oop. Oop. I found the drain plug underneath the reservoir the way I should have in the first place, and it has actual chunks stuck to the magnet. And all the fluid that's coming out is like a mix of cat diarrhea and glitter from the wife's craft room. So I don't have very high hopes for the pump or the motor on this side. And I think that once we have the hoses disconnected, it's going to be worth checking out the other side as well, because it was operational. And I'm unsure how this filter system works, because the pumps obviously pull or push through the filter. I'm not sure. I would think they'd pull through it so stuff doesn't get in and only bad stuff goes in the reservoir, but I could be mistaken. We'll have to read up on it and figure it out. If it does pull through the filter and the other side is nice and clean, I won't be as worried. Okay, removing this giant pain in the ass. So newer mowers, they have a cutout that's for the pump that's big enough for the pulley to come through with it. This one, not so much. This guy, once it's undone and unbolted, huge pain in the dingus, because they have the rod for the brake goes right across the top of it, and you can't pull it up. You got to pull it out one way or the other. I couldn't get it out this way by the relays, so looking on this side, that one's not going to come out. Right, there's too much shit in the way. This one I was able to remove the starter and get it to slide out with the engine in place. So I think what's going to happen is if we decide that that side's fine, we just don't touch it, right? And so maybe we'll pull this reservoir out and look at it, or just kind of, because we need to flush all the junk out. We need to get the filter apart and look and see that it's caught a ton of particles, and make sure that this thing does fluid go into the reservoir, and then anything going into the pumps comes through the filter to block all those chunks that it spit out. So if that side's safe, we leave it alone, deal with this side, and move on. But the only way we're going to know is to pull this apart, and I think what we're going to find inside is just absolute carnage. This already had a broken bolt on the right side, so somebody may have been in here before. I mean, obviously, because there's no other reason that this would be snapped off other than somebody trying to get inside. And I've never taken one of these apart, so I don't actually know what I'm getting myself into. And since I think it's broken, we can use stuff like hammers and not care. Oh, that little broken fucker. Let's see. The appropriate sized pry bar. Oh, it doesn't fit in. I need screwdrivers. Maybe I'm hitting the bolt with the screwdriver. Yeah, that would be it. Okay, so that's it's like a weird little pump on top that does stuff. I don't know what it does. Maybe that's what pulls fluid through the filter to get it into here, and then the variable valve takes over. Who knows? Oh good, a little spring came out. I bet that, oops, that goes in there. It's the only logical spot, right? Oh, that's cool, it's offset. See that? It's not centered. It's got a wiggle. So this this will be not centered, right? And it'll stay still. And then when you turn the shaft, which I'm not able to do, that little guy would go in there and he would pump. So that should come off. He hangs out with his friend. And so far, I don't see anything horrible. What we're going to see horrible is probably one of those pistons is completely exploded. So yeah, we're getting there next. Last bolt. I don't know if any of this stuff needs to come out or there's like some plug thingies that go through. I don't think they do. I think this just is a flat surface to a flat surface with a big ass O-ring. But if it sticks, if it doesn't just like pop off with a couple taps, we'll need to maybe pull some other stuff out. Oh, hey, there's a ball. I bet he hangs out with his spring buddy. Bye. Oop. Hey, it came apart. Oh. Dude, this thing is roached. The music was on, but I'll at least be able to show this popping apart, and maybe it'll be muted. We'll find out. But what it looks like is we have some kind of thrust bearing or whatever. Well, just bearing period, because that's what all those balls came out of, right? They fit right in the groove of this bad boy, perfect size. So we had a bearing failure that turned into more bearing failure of some kind, and it's just beat the shit out of this pump, man. Ooh, boing boing boing. It's not worth any parts, right? So like if it was something minor, you can replace the cylinder, but like look at what's going on the side of it. The thing's just obliterated. So we'll just leave it be. It'd be fun to dig into and like talk about, but there's plenty of videos out there that show how these variable displacement pumps work. And essentially you're looking at, you have a piston, right, in this little chamber, and that's the pump in it. When you go forward backwards, this guy that went flying, oh, Jesus, that is amazing. But this is up in there, right, and sits on on these guys that disintegrated as well, in rocks. And the top of it will angle. So when it's flat, these pistons don't move. When it's just a little bit, one side comes up while the other side goes down, you get a little pump. And then when you angle it more, you get more pump. That's how it's variable. Right? You push your lever further forward and you get more pumping. And that makes your wheel motor do more stuff. So phase 2 will be getting that wheel motor off and seeing if any of these kind of things that went through it caused extensive damage or not. Now, I think the wheel motors are a little more robust and a little more forgiving, but I'm unsure. So now that it's up in the air, it's just not going to take that much effort to pull this guy off and separate it and just see what's going on inside. And then whether we deal with the other side will be determined by how that setup works. I would imagine because the other side worked and didn't make any noises, it's probably okay. We'll see. We'll dig into that tomorrow.